Okay, so this is Sharonda, and this is my podcast and YouTube channel, Magic Mind Media. All right, so we're going to go into the topic for today, which is spiritual scanners, speaking about ESP, remote viewing, and mind reading. So what exactly is remote viewing? I want to start off by saying that this YouTube channel and podcast is for entertainment purposes. It is for entertainment purposes. So I'm going to pull up some information here. So what exactly is remote viewing? Remote viewing is the practice of seeking impressions about a distant or unseen subject, purportedly sensing with the mind. A remote viewing is expected to give information about an object, event, person, or location hidden from physical view and separated at some distance. So it goes on to mention that physicists Russell Targ and Harold Puthoff, parapsychology researchers at Stanford Research Institute, are generally credited with coining the term remote viewing to distinguish it from the closely related concept of clairvoyance. So I'm not going to go too much in depth as to, what exactly it is, but in terms of the information here. So what my spiritual sense about what remote viewing is that remote viewing is the same as being a clairvoyant. And what is a clairvoyant? Well, I'm going to tell you now what that is. Clairvoyance. So definition as defined, a clairvoyant, the supposed faculty of perceiving things or events in the future or beyond normal sensory contact. So in other words, a second sight, ESP, extrasensory perception, sixth sense, or psychic powers. All right? So I think we all possess those capabilities. We may not refer to it as clairvoyance or even remote viewing. Some people may say, okay, it's based on what you are experiencing on the inside is coming from what you're receptive to visually, and I do believe that as well. I also would like to stress that I do believe that remote viewing is real, because I have experienced it a couple of times myself, and I'm gonna tell you one account where I was able to see a part of the city. And I was laying down, I was going through, my body was a little bit, I guess my hormones or what have you was off, but still I was able to see a part of the city that came into my visual field. It was like in black and white, and there was like a white line across it. And in my heart, it mentions Columbus. So I'm saying, okay, what is the big deal with this, and what is this revelation is all about? And in the midst of that, I'm seeing like these different homes or whatever, as I'm seeing this in the scheme of my mind, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, what is the significance of that? And I think it was God's way of letting me know that something was significant about that particular town, side of the town versus anything, and could have been something that was going on or what have you, to get me to prompt me to go over there to investigate or even find out, if that makes sense. Well, I did not do that because I wasn't in the state at that particular time, and when I mean state, I wasn't in the position or able to just get up and just readily go. I mean, I could if I wanted to. But I do believe these things that occur with us is God giving you forewarning or precognition about some things that you may not even fathom. Like, say for instance, if you're someone such as myself who has been from place to place, or what have you, and you know, it may be hard to adapt and build relationships with people. You may not even want to, you know, that may not be your personality. So God will put instinct within you to know, okay, this part of the town, you may need to travel away from this versus any other part, if that makes sense to you. So that's basically what remote viewing is. Extrasensory perception, which essentially is the same thing. And let's go ahead, we're going to pull up, and I think I'm tapped out about 25 minutes on this recording. So, all right, so extrasensory perception. So it says it is the idea that people can perceive information or events without using their known senses. It's also known as sixth sense, clairvoyance, or second sight. So some examples of these things, you would have telepathy, which is the transferring of thoughts between people. Clairvoyance, having a heightened awareness of objects or events that others aren't aware of. Then you have precognition, which is essentially having knowledge of the future. So I do believe that that is your instinct or intuition about certain things. Does this happen all the time with me? No. But I do feel as though now that I've gotten older, it does happen pretty regularly. Also, he has given me the sensibility to where I would know when something is not right or made up or pushed up or arranged instantaneously. And I think when you are like that, you become a threat, and those spirits will band against you because you're not in agreement with what we said it is, right? Okay. So in essence, you'll begin to see how a lot of things is a play on the media, the play on psychology, the play on how you think, as we would see with the television or telephone or this, that, electronics, and any type of communication vessel. The spiritual tools that I use when I communicate with spirits, the unseen, is to give me synopsis about spiritual manifestation, or physical manifestation, I should say, and how these things can be arranged and manipulated to deceive the masses, if that makes sense. The television being one of those things. I think many people watch television, many people don't. Some people don't know how to watch television. Like, I watch television for entertainment. Do I believe everything that's on the television? No, I don't. I think the average person does not. But you do have those energy spaces that they are very believable, and you can get encased into those spirits, if that makes sense to you. All right. So extrasensory perception, I do feel as though it is real. You know, I mentioned about telepathy. If you go back and review one of my visual platforms or visual presentation, I spoke about telepathy during the midst of recording about one particular spiritual subject last year sometime, and all of a sudden I get this it's like a how would I describe it? Like I seen a spirit guide of my child that come into my psyche, right? And it was communicating to me, but I knew it was someone that had passed on, and it did not speak. It was more or less like telepathy, that I should alert my child about certain things. You need to tell him. You need to tell him the truth, right? And so I mentioned about that as well. Now, getting back to mind readers. So, do you believe people have the ability to read minds? Well, let's pull that information up. And I'm going to bring this to a close. I felt the need to re-record this because I recorded this particular spiritual subject on another platform that somehow disappeared. I guess they wanted me to pay for the subscription or whatever. Okay. So what exactly is mind reading? And do you feel as though mind reading is real? And if it is real, do you think we all possess that capability? Well, mind reading is the activity of representing specific mental states of others. For example, their perception, goals, belief, expectations, and the like. It is now agreed that all normal humans develop the capacity to represent mental states in others, a system of representation often called folk psychology. Now, I do understand that by way of empathy or even sympathy, we all have common sense, common knowledge to know, okay, if somebody slipped down and fall, they may be in pain, or they may need to be seen about, or if somebody it looks emaciated, they may need to drink or eat, or if somebody is dirty, they may need to bathe. So we know these things. This is common knowledge. But what I'm speaking about is apart from that. It's more or less, I'm just going to give you an example. Let me see if I can find some other information before I go into my example about what I feel as though mind reading is. So it says mind reading often appears in daily life without us realizing it. For example, imagine walking into a cafeteria and assuming that everyone is judging you for eating alone. This assumption is made without any evidence, yet it can significantly impact how you feel and behave in that situation. That right there is not an example of mind reading. Like we can presumptively anticipate the desire of others. That's not the same as mind reading. Telepathy, it brings up telepathy. Now this information here mentions that mind reading, OCD, is a type of obsessive compulsive disorder in which a person experiences intrusive thoughts that they are able to read the minds of others. This can lead to feelings of anxiety and distress, as the person may feel that they are constantly being judged by others. So what I'm going to tell you is, these are accounts of these people who put this up here on the Google, and no offense to you, all right? I can understand that you would try to not encourage that, because everybody is not going to be receptive to the fact that you got this quote-unquote superpower. And some people can use that to manipulate you or to gain access to your life. So, of course, we will put erroneous or find erroneous information on the internet to discourage those who may feel as though they have that capability, right? So I'm going to tell you a story. And if I could think of another, I will add it in as well in regards to mind reading. I've had a couple of instances where I've experienced telepathy where, you know, I knew it was by way of a spirit, because God put me in such a motion to where I was able to read the heart of somebody and know what was going on. I've had that to happen a few times. But this incident happened where I went to the grocery store to get my food. I was hungry at the time. I wasn't starving or anything like that. And I went to grab things, you know, to bring back to the house. And as I'm approaching the counter, you know, with someone in front of me, and he went to purchase his food, with his items or whatever, and he began to strike up a conversation with the checkout person. Now, I am still in this same town, so I am not going to say when this occurred. I'm not going to necessarily say where it occurred, What I will say is that it did occur, okay? So I'm thinking to myself, I don't know neither one of these people, or what have you, the cashier nor the person that was in front of me. So they just having, small talk or whatever, when you engage to get, to get through the transaction, what have you. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I want them to go ahead so I can just go ahead and, buy what I need to buy so I can get out of here. I kid you not. I had no feelings towards this person, no personal towards this person. Like I didn't know her. I mean, I was a little bit, I was very anxious to get out the store because I was hungry, but I didn't feel like I didn't really get annoyed, if that makes sense, right? Because, me being grown, a mature woman, you act appropriately even in times where I wasn't starving to death. So as I'm standing there and I began to take a look at this person, and I kid you not, an image came up on this person's forehead, and I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you. I don't know why this person versus anybody else, because there was a time, when I was a child, I used to have weird dreams and things like that. And I remember mentioning to an aunt that I could see 666 on people's foreheads, or even 777 on people's foreheads. And, she would laugh. She thought it was kind of funny because, how children do. They say things to get attention. They want somebody to, acknowledge them and things like that. And I would always, would have outbursts and stuff like that all the time. But I was a quiet child and a reserved child, or what have you. So could have very well been something that was going on with me, physically wise, medically wise. I do believe that. I do believe that when you have someone that is attention, quote unquote, seeking, this is God's way of giving you inclination about something that is going on with that person, whether it's a child or whomever, right? So, in saying that, this particular thing that occurred at this grocery store with this person never occurred with anyone else that I can recall at this time. So I'm standing there and I look, and on this person's forehead is a image that projects itself out towards me. And I'm sitting there like, what in the hell is that? And I kid you not, I'm not going to go into details as to what it was. Right? I'm not going to go into details as to what it was, because that's not my place. Right? And I'm still in the same town, or whatever, what have you. But I do believe that that's God's way of letting me know the capabilities of others. So it's a humbling experience, and that's why I choose to not just blab off, any little thing, because you can't be telling on yourself your own thoughts or what have you. I'm not perfect. No one is perfect, but the sensibility that I got was, I would never have expected that from this person, is the point. So I'm saying this to say, will I be inquisitive enough to try to investigate even further to find out what he presented? Can I substantiate? That's not my place to do that, because she's a grown woman, and maybe a married grown woman, and that has nothing to do with me personally, right? So I don't know what you would call that. I guess the reason why I decided to do this episode, or what have you, this spiritual subject, because I don't know how you would classify that. What you say is an open vision, extrasensory perception, remote viewing. I don't know how to classify that. But one thing I will say is, I think these capabilities, oftentimes you hear these capabilities are pushed off as mental health or mental challenges, right? And because when you begin to tell on God, people will begin to do some things to you or even try to do some things to you. So that's why we will cover it by saying, okay, mental health, mental challenges, or whatever the case may be. So I'm not one of these people that are boastful about what I can and can't do. I mean, I have had my times where I got beside myself, but ultimately I am a humble person. So it's not nothing that I choose to just, you know, like you. I'm not so quick to just put people's business out there like that. That's not my style or what have you. So anyway, saying that to say, I do believe that remote viewing, ESP, and mind reading is real. I have experienced it myself. But I also want to say that people don't know what to classify it as, so we would say mental health. These things are real, and you're going to find a lot of things in life are such as that. Inexplicable, unexplainable, or whatever the case may be. Right? So I think it's in a sense, I'm sorry, I put some stuff on my hair, and I think that is a lie detector. Right? Like that's your innate intuitional lie detector. And I think these capabilities comes in stages in life, if that makes sense to anybody. I do believe certain things can perpetuate these things, because I smoke and it's on and off. I don't do any drugs. I have no desire to do drugs, but I think certain things can facilitate sensitivity in these things, such as drugs or traumas, illnesses, or certain substances, even sleep deprivation or oxygen deprivation or what have you. But that's not to say that what you see or experience is not real, is what I'm getting at. So I am going to go ahead and conclude this episode on Magic Mind Medium Spiritual Subject. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, you're more than welcome to comment below. Until then, have a safe and wonderful day. Good day.